What's up guys, Trevor here, and I'm going to talk about ADHD today. Something that hits home for me harder than anything I've ever talked about. I've been suffering from ADHD since the moment I crawled out of the womb. My parents said I didn't even sleep through the night for the first 4 years of my life. I was always bouncing off the walls, could never sit still. Like, I'd be watching cartoons and I couldn't even sit still and watch the cartoons. I'd be acting them out and like just running around like a crazy little kid all the time. My parents would call them fits. Never did well academically growing up, always struggled in school, always struggled focusing, always struggled following through with things, finishing things, staying consistent. Anything that took motivation, focus, and commitment, I was never really good at. And, you know, fast forward to college, this really started to bother me because I'm becoming a man, I'm becoming who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. And I realized this is a huge problem. I'm in Premed, I'm studying neuroscience, and as the courses got more and more difficult, I found myself getting really lost in the sauce. So I discovered Adderall when I got to college, so I would, my procrastination was terrible. I would never plan things out, I would never start things early. I skipped class all the time because I just had so much anxiety. I would go to class and I just couldn't even sit there for more than 20 minutes. I'd just look at the time and be like, oh my god, I have like 50 minutes of this class left, are you kidding me? And I'd just have to leave because my energy was just too much, just through the roof. So that was just not for me. It was really hard, I didn't know what to do. So I would just never go to class and then like procrastinate till literally like 2 days before the exam, so stressed. My friend would give me some Adderall. I would just lose sleep, cram. It was just a really unhealthy way of living, and I got by, but I knew that it wasn't sustainable. I started thinking like, man, how am I able to take this pill and become this person that I can never be without it? Do I really need this pill? And it even got to the point where I went to the doctor, I went to a psychiatrist, told him about my problems. He had no consideration, no interest of my personal life, like no questions asked, like no, what are you eating, how much are you sleeping, what type of activities do you engage in, nothing like that. It was more of just a routine checklist, like basically questions that were so cut and dry. It was like, answer yes if you want Adderall, something like that, like literally like, do you have trouble sitting still in class? Yes, that's why I'm here. Do you make impulsive decisions? Yes, like give me the Adderall, pretty much. So he gave me Adderall, and he gave me Xanax to sleep. So it was that day when I was really like, what the hell, man, this is a really weird, fucked up thing. It's like, these people, like, if I were just some uneducated kid who knew nothing about drugs and the mind and neuroscience and all this, I would just take these pills and feel amazing initially, right? Only to find myself super dependent, addicted, and dysfunctional without them. So, later down the road, you become addicted to these drugs, you can't do anything without the Adderall, you can't sleep without the Xanax, and then soon enough they stop having the wondrous effects they do at the beginning, and then you're kind of screwed. So it was at this point where I was like, look, I'm not gonna be dependent on any pills. There's no way that this is like, that I'm just stuck this way and I need these pills. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. So I started reading a lot of books on ADHD, ironically, right? And I'm just like doing all this research, learning more and more about ADHD. And there were always a recurring theme, a few recurring themes. And so I started to take notice of these, and so I decided to make some changes. So I'm going to tell you guys 3 things that I did. It's always 3 things, I know. I'm going to tell you guys 3 things that I did that really helped my ADHD and pretty much reversed all my ADHD symptoms to the point where I'm in complete control now. And I am someone who was diagnosed. I had suffered my whole life, and I had struggled with everything, academically, sports, anything that took motivation and took consistency on my part and stuff like focus, I was just terrible at. So pretty much everything. So I needed to make a change, and so the first thing was diet. That's a huge recurring theme with all these doctors who offer these more holistic, natural ways of approaching this illness. A diet high in gluten and high in sugar and high in carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, these tend to exacerbate ADHD symptoms and are always kind of correlated with ADHD. So, I kept reading this and I was thinking back to my childhood, and I literally did not want to eat anything. I couldn't even stomach meat. I could never stomach vegetables. I hated vegetables. All I liked was sugar. I loved sugar, I loved carbs, I loved bread. I would literally just sit there watching cartoons, profusely eating the charms of the Lucky Charms, and I would throw away the rest of the cereal because it was too bland for me. I would just be eating Oreos all the time, cookies, Cheetos. Terrible, just a really high sugar, high refined carbohydrate diet, and this really kind of messed me up. So I took notice of that, and I had always had the kind of like a crazy sweet tooth. So I decided to try something. I decided to try intermittent fasting, and this, I decided to do this for not only this reason, but also to kind of maintain a lean, muscular, shredded physique. But I also thought, with fasting, with all the reading I'd done, research and knowledge of biochemistry, that I knew that intermittent fasting would begin to switch my metabolic capabilities from just being able to burn carbohydrates to fat. And fat is a much more efficient, more sustainable fuel for your body, where you're not constantly hungry and you don't have these energy dumps and you don't have these energy spikes and crashes. So I knew for several reasons that intermittent fasting would be great, and I just thought it would be a good way to kind of reset my diet and my cravings and things like that. And it did just that. It gave me a new sense of control over myself, over my cravings, over what I ate. So I began to eat a little bit healthier, like more fat and protein, more of a ketogenic type diet. But I would never say I went keto or anything like that. I was never into any particular diet, like obsessing over it. But intermittent fasting allowed me to just kind of curb all cravings, because my body switched that fuel source from glucose to fat. So I wasn't craving all that glucose, the sugar all the time. So I would eat more, eggs, meat, greens, fruits, just more of like a paleo, natural type diet, and I was just more in control of it. And this directly affected my energy levels, my motivation, my focus. It had wondrous implications in my ADHD. The second thing I did was meditation. Another really glorified, common theme everyone talks about. Like, a lot of people think like, I can't meditate. There's no way I can meditate. Anyone can meditate, okay? If you can daydream, you can meditate. Everybody can meditate. It just honestly, the way I look at meditation is it's working out for your brain. It's the same thing as going to the gym. You go to the gym consistently, you perform an exercise routine, and your body grows, it changes, it shrinks down, or you know what I mean? Like, it'll carve up, you'll get ripped, you'll get shredded, you'll get muscular, or you'll lose fat. Whatever your goals are, working out is to your body as meditation is to your mind. And this is proven. In neuroscience, we can see changes in the brain with people who meditate. You see changes in gray matter. And gray matter, the lack of gray matter is correlated with ADHD. And meditation is correlated with increasing gray matter in your brain and making physical changes in your brain. So this happens when you meditate. So you have to look at meditating as exercise. And this is, it's simple though. You don't have to spend an hour meditating a day. You can just start off with literally just 3 to 5 minutes every day. Take some time to pay attention to your breath, or just come back to your center, focus on some spot in your forehead or something, and just meditate. 3 to 5 minutes, that's all it takes. You'll start to make changes. You can add on to the time. It's all about consistency, and you have to look at it as a mental workout. And you're training your focus muscle, and this probably helped me the most out of everything. It changed my life. It allowed me to really be present. I'm able now to really talk with people and conversate with them, and and focus on them and look them in the eyes and really take in what they're saying and listen to them and think about what they're saying and not be so concerned with what I'm gonna say or be just lost. I would find myself my whole life, sometimes I'd be deep in conversation and halfway through the person's talking to me, I'm like, what the hell were they just saying? I totally just zoned out. And that's rude because sometimes you're just like they stop talking and then you're like you don't even know what to say, you don't even know how to respond because you don't even know what they just said. That's how bad my ADHD was. But now I'm able to be real present, really engaged, and that's the case with everything. Paying attention in class, paying attention to what I'm reading, listening to everything. Huge changes, guys, changed my life. The last thing, the third thing, is movement. And there's different ways of doing this. So for ADHD particularly, it's not just exercise. Like I was exercising a lot, but I didn't really find that it helped me too much. Obviously it did because I'm letting that outlet of abundant energy of ADHD out of my body, and I'm also increasing dopamine in my brain, so I'm, upping that rewarding, motivating chemical in my brain, which helps you to do other things. But what I found to help me the most is learning new movements, like handstands or learning martial arts or learning how to dance or things like this. This is probably the best thing you can do for ADHD because you're training yourself how to learn while you're moving your body. So you're getting the benefits of exercise, the boost in dopamine, the release of energy. Also exercising my mind, my brain, learning new movements, learning how to focus and be engaged while also being fluid and not too in my head, in my body, and grounded and centered. A great example of this was capoeira. It's a Brazilian martial art. It's a dance, it's a martial art, and it's also kind of an acrobatic thing. So it involves so much, and you're doing this with someone else. So you're face to face with someone else, and you're doing all of these movements with each other. So you have to gauge distance well, you have to focus on the other person's eyes, you have to learn all these movements, you have to be really in your body. You're not just in your head up there just thinking about whatever, you're just focused, present, moving. It's tiring, it's everything, you guys. So my suggestion is take up a martial art. This will teach you how to move, it'll teach you discipline, and it will teach you it will force you to be engaged because usually martial arts are done with other people, right? So you have to be really present, and so guys, so those are the three things that really helped me get through college and helped me pass pre-med and do pretty well. So if you guys find any of this stuff useful, great, use it and just try at least one of these things, and I promise you'll see a huge difference. ADHD is not diabetes in your brain. What I mean by that is some people say the way diabetics lack insulin is the way ADHD people lack dopamine. That's not true at all. If that's true, how was I able to reverse it? I was literally the worst case ADHD I've ever seen. I mean, I'm sure there's worse out there, but I was bad. I had it bad. So I knew that I needed to make changes or I wasn't gonna make it through college. I wasn't gonna get the degree I wanted, and I wasn't gonna do well. So I wanted to excel, I wanted to get my degree, I wanted to finish, and here I am, guys. I'm here to tell you that it's totally possible. It just takes some consistency and a little bit of lifestyle change. I hope this helps. Peace out.